He saved and adopted 3 black girls 27 years ago. You won't believe how they repaid him years later. Joe was patrolling the cold Chicago night when his phone rang. An old lady complained about weird noises from a neighboring abandoned apartment. When Joe pried the door open, he saw 3 little girls curled up in fear. The eldest was barely 10, the next about 6, and the youngest around 3. They were dressed in tattered clothes, faces covered in mud. Clearly, they were abandoned. It hit Joe hard. They reminded him of his daughter, who he lost in a car accident 2 years ago. Joe took them to the police station. After some hot chocolate and chat, it turned out they were daughters of drug dealers who didn't want them anymore and left while they were asleep. Joe tried to get back to regular work but couldn't help thinking about those little faces. He decided to do something. Joe formally adopted them. Their names were Mia, Letty, and Amy. People living nearby were curious, not just because he adopted 3 girls, but because they were black. Joe saw just 3 girls needing protection and love. Gradually, the girls started to trust him too. When off duty, he always took them out, whether skating, playing in the park, or visiting the library. Time flew and life got better. The girls were doing well in school, and every night he prayed for a good future for them, hoping they'd have a happy life. Seems like his prayers worked. Mia became a therapist, Letty a journalist, and little Amy was pursuing her PhD in music. 27 years later, Joe had no clue what they had in store for him. At Amy's graduation, she started her speech, narrated the story of how Joe saved them. She told everyone without Joe, they wouldn't have made it today. Joe was beyond emotional. His little girl was standing there, sharing her story with her sisters. At that moment, Joe felt it was all worth it. They were his everything. So, a little love and care really go a long way. Would you have adopted them if you were in his place? What's your take on adoption?